welcome to this gathering. So we have seen how digital technologies have helped in public service delivery. Can you give a perspective to the audience on how that's helped in your department and what's the future for technology in your department?
Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. So, I am Additional Chief Secretary in charge of Rural Development and Panchayat Department in Karnataka. So, service delivery is what was the question, and then I thought I'll just give a little bit overall perspective as to what we are doing. So, the Rural Development and Panchayat Raj Department in Karnataka has been at the forefront of technology adoption, implementation of technology, use of technology for delivery of services, for automating processes for quite some time now. In fact, one of our earliest software is Panchtantra, which was made in 2010, which is a very comprehensive accounting suite of various services implemented at the Gram Panchayat level. To just give an idea of the scale, Karnataka has 28,000 odd villages and organized into 6,000 Gram Panchayats. So each Gram Panchayat is a corporate entity. It has its own sources of revenue as well as grants it receives, and it spends those monies. So, and they will maintain their own accounts, and then there are procedures for them to get their accounts audited, approved, etc. The question arises as to how do we keep track of the income, expenditure, grants, and spending of 6,000 different institutions spread all over the state. So it is humanly impossible to keep track of them sitting here unless we use technology. So this realization came quite early in our department. In 2010, we did this Panchtantra, where the accounts of all the Gram Panchayats were computerized and annual accounts of the Gram Panchayats could be generated under that software. So the dilemma with decentralization is the following. So when you, the subsidiarity principle of decentralization says that you have to, it is better to delegate a function to the lowest appropriate level. If it can be done in village, why would you want to do it at the block level or the district headquarters or at Bangalore? So that is a subsidiarity principle. So you have to delegate it and decentralize it to the lowest appropriate level, which can be empowered. But having empowered, then comes the dilemma. You have empowered, you have given money, but how are you sure that that money gets utilized in the right manner, and then there is no leakages, and then there is accountability? So to ensure accountability, of course, the best accountability comes from democracy. Then you have a very vibrant democratic system where people will hold the village governments to account. Unfortunately, we have not really matured to that stage, and therefore there is a need to implement the principle, trust but verify. So you trust and give the money, but we also need to have a verification mechanism. And how do we verify? Technology comes to aid, and so we have implemented this Panchtantra in 2010. Thereafter, there are a series of softwares have been done for property records, rural property records. We did a e-Sottu software in 2013. So last 2-3 years, what we have done is we have worked towards putting in place version 2 of these softwares. And in 14, there was also a work monitoring software called Gandhi Sakshi Kayaka, we call it GSK. So we have put a version 2 of most of this softwares now. So what we really do is, it is not just implementing software or developing technology for the sake of technology. The principles that we have adopted now going forward is to, one, make sure that capture the data in the process of its creation. It's not that you capture somewhere and in manual processes and then you try to input it. Secondly, try to automate governance itself. Again, it is not that you hold meetings in an analog fashion and then you bring it to digital. So we have come up with a software called Panchtantra 2.0. So in this, we have in fact tried to automate and try to digitalize the day-to-day functioning, the governance of Gram Panchayat itself. For example, they have to hold meetings. Gram Panchayat general body meetings, there would be allegations that the meetings are held in closed door. Meetings are held, minutes are not recorded. Minutes are recorded, not shared. They're not shared with members, let alone common public. So the objective is to ensure accountability and transparency. Unless you give transparency and accountability, it's very difficult to make sure that the monies that are distributed throughout the state to be implemented by 6,000 different body corporates at the village level, they utilize it properly. And therefore I'll give one small example of meeting management, which is one of the components of our Panchtantra 2.0. So the meeting notice will be generated on the software, and when the meeting begins on the software, it will begin saying that the meeting has been initiated. Then the meeting minutes will be recorded. When you record the minutes, we will adopt speech to text software, and then text to speech, so that because there would be people with relatively lower educational status, and then they may not be able to read from a computer, and then therefore we are implementing a text to speech, because once it is recorded, we will ask them to play the text back to the members, so that the members are satisfied that what they have done, what they have said is recorded. And once it is done, another problem that we used to face is that people hold the meetings, but the Panchayat Development Officer will not record the minutes immediately, and the minutes will get manipulated because they will get recorded subsequently. So we will put in the software time limits. By this time, it needs to get approved. So these kind of principles are adopted, where as we function, as we do, we will put it in the software, in the technology, so that it gets recorded in the process. So this is what we have done. We have also now done a work monitoring software which integrates GIS with the data collection. So because once we sanction a road work, and before the estimate is prepared, then we'll ask the concerned junior engineer to take your mobile and then switch it on with your geotagging, and then you traverse the entire 100 meters or 300 meters or 500 meters of road that they want to build. You go on a motorbike or in a jeep or a car, you traverse, you trace it, you take 3, 4, 5 pictures which are geotagged on the mobile app. And so basically a series of steps have been done to ensure that transparency is ensured. So we want to adopt technology not for the sake of technology. We don't believe that technology in itself is a panacea. Technology is a very important precondition. It's a necessary condition, but it is not a sufficient condition. For it to become sufficient conditions, you need to empower the community to demand answers from the technology. You need to ensure that the change management is handled well. Otherwise, what happens is that we prepare the software, it doesn't get implemented in true spirit. There will be a lot of workarounds that people do. For example, under our old work monitoring software called GSK, we had said that people will have to do geotagging of the road. Then they would take a picture of some other road, and then they would geotag it. So then we developed a workaround for that. And then against that, people will again develop workarounds. So technology implementation in itself is not the answer. Technology implementation, first of all, it has to be thought through in a very detailed manner as to what is the processes are, and also there is no need to document and digitize every process that exists today, and process re-engineering, but of course this is old hat, everybody knows it. So we do process re-engineering, and then we create capture the data in the process of creation, and then we give enough publicity, enough buy-in from the community, so that they start consuming this data. Otherwise, you put something on some website, nobody is going to see, then again, technology in itself is not going to solve your problems. So these are some of the principles that we are adopting, and these are the steps that we have taken in our department towards technology adoption in rural development.
Thanks, Mr. Atheeq. That was a detailed, summary of what you've done in the last decade and two. I just want to build up on that, right? And it was great to hear you talk about you want to capture data at source, no deduplication. You are also making it a little, future-proofing, saying that you're doing cognitive voice to text, text to voice, so that every people who are associated with it can benefit. Just wanted to understand if there is a 3.0 getting planned, what would be the key ingredients of that 3.0 system for Panchtantra or GSK? What would you love to have from a technology side?
That's a difficult question, I think, because I'm not clairvoyant as to what is the future going to hold. So I think as we go forward, technology needs to become very. It has to be there everywhere. At the same time, it should not be visible. In the sense that we don't need to realize that the technology is being used for certain processes. But therefore, we have to address the issues of data entry, for example. So how do you really get over the problem of data entry, and so that the data is captured through other measures? And use of mobile device will become more and more important. It's already in our Panchtantra 2, there will be a mobile app, etc. Mobile app again is not a very new thing. It is now everybody is using mobile apps. But going forward, again there are problems of how many apps can somebody use. There will be a plethora of apps. For everything we come up with the app as a solution. So therefore, using mobile technology more effectively, reducing the amount of time we spend on keying in the data entry, etc., and at the same time bridging the digital gap. So we will have a problem. We have problems of bandwidth and connectivity. So if there is a 5G which has much better bandwidth, we would like to see the implementation of those. We would also like to see implementation of more video, actually, because again video use is a function of bandwidth. So those tracking using GPS, using videos, using mobile phones, these are the things that I foresee as of now. Perhaps there would be many other things. Drone-based overseeing of works is something that I am already thinking of for our large multiple village water supply projects. We are constructing water supply projects costing 1,000 crores, 1,500 crores, 2,000 crores each project, which means the entire, for example, I'll give you idea of a scale. The entire Raichur district is going to get water from Narayanpur reservoir over Krishna River from a single scheme. So it's like Raichur, it's like bringing water from Kaveri to Bangalore city. So we'll be bringing water from Krishna River from Narayanpur reservoir to the entire district of Raichur. So there would be multiple assets that are being constructed. How do we keep track of them? Right now, if you just ask the contractor to make a PowerPoint presentation, they will come and tell that so many reservoirs have been built, etc. So if we can have drone photographs, etc., the drone footage simultaneously, we don't need to ask the contractors. I don't need to each time go to Raichur and visit. So use of drone, in addition to the other things I mentioned, mobile phone, etc., will also be a future. And yeah, these are some of the things, but I don't have all the answers as to what the future holds. But this I thought we should be thinking in those directions.
Absolutely, and I think the mobile apps is going to change the way, the agility of getting the data, one-time entry, single version of truth can come out to every people in the department, and of course the public citizens as well. Thanks for sharing on what could be more added. I have a final question to you, sir. We have seen technology, there is no limit to what you can do. We also know, and we are doing a lot of skilling exercise for your department and other government employees. What do you think are, apart from skilling, something that can help adopt technology faster in the public sector, especially in government, to take up these new projects?
I think there were pockets of resistance earlier where people would try to resist technology because change management is always an issue. I think we are going past that problem now. In fact, right now, because e-governance projects are so many, and we are implementing, and so there is not much resistance from the people. But the problem of capacity building involving the stakeholders, continuously hand-holding them continues to be there, continues to be a problem. Particularly in a department like ours where we develop a software which has to be used in 29,000 villages. So that is one thing. And the second thing is that unless capacities are developed, systems are designed and deployed at the headquarters, at the state headquarters and at the district headquarters, where we have dedicated teams which look at these things on a regular basis, many of the features that we develop fall by the wayside. That is, we have examples in our own department. We have a program called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Guarantee Scheme, in which when Munish Mudgil was the commissioner for Narega, he had developed a series of services. This one. But most of the modules, the successors did not use. So government, we have a serious problem of successor-predecessor syndrome. The successors often do not carry forward what the predecessors have done. So 2-3 things have to be done. First of all, you have to future-proof that also by embedding those in the part of our rules of business, our procedures, government orders, cabinet approvals, if necessary, statutory changes, laws, etc. will have to be along with doing, because you do a project, then your predecessor will completely can junk it. It's possible because the accountability doesn't, it's not that strong. So therefore, you have to make sure that continuity is there. You have to make sure that the systems you designed, again, it is not a very new idea. It's a system designed should immediately dispense with any manual systems. The moment if you continue to maintain two systems, generally the IT system will fail. So as soon as possible, you have to scrap the manual system. Then capacity building, I already mentioned. And putting in PMUs, oversight units, etc. Bringing people from private sector or from IT sector to keep on assisting you is very important. Otherwise, if you don't, for example, I'll give you an example. For our work monitoring software, we have said that you have to upload photographs. So then there will be a image analysis unit that you have to put. And if the image analysis comes up with data which says that instead of a road work, they have put a different picture or a blank page has been uploaded. Somebody has to see it, because you can't say that machines will take care. Human intervention will be there. But nobody oversees it. Nobody oversees consumes the data. You create a lot of data, but you don't consume that data. Then again, the creation process becomes redundant, and slowly people realize down the chain that okay, nobody is looking at it. If you are not looking at it, then you might not as well produce that data. So it starts deteriorating, and therefore it's very important that you have each department has a good e-governance unit which oversees and looks at this data, and the CEO of the top, the CEO, the head of the department, principal secretary, or commissioner or director, looks at the data regularly. Without looking into those data, again, the systems will become dysfunctional.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for enriching discussion, and would really loved the adoption of technology that you've had. The governance of it, the way you said geofencing is coming in, capacity building is important, and we have seen a lot of private sector, tech talents coming into government and public sector banks and other entities. So definitely, I guess the future is very bright. In terms, of course, it doesn't go away with the challenges that you already have, that you detailed out. So I guess as citizens here, it's fantastic to hear that government is thinking about a lot of adoption of technology to, like you said, redundancy, no manual activity, get that all systemized. And I think the biggest takeaway, and we had this discussion earlier with Shalini ma'am also, how do you get data and make insights out of it? Otherwise, the collection of data itself doesn't serve the purpose. So it's about unlocking those insights which is already there, the data, and of course, all of them have to be done in a very secure fashion. So thanks a lot for your time today, sir. It was a pleasure having you on the stage today.
Thank you for having me. I hope you could get some answers, etc. So it's a useful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. May I request Dr. Ravi Gupta to please join us on stage with a small token of appreciation to Sri Atheeq LK, along with Mr. Anish Chani. Sir, please. A round of applause, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.